Hello, you know me now. I'm the guy here talking to you. Now, outside here, behind me, you can't really see it, but it's the Sydney Harbour Bridge, or the lead up to. And on top of it, today is a summer's day, and it's pissing it down. It's been pissing it down all week. My feet have felt like duck's feet all week out in the rain training, but we do it all for a good cause. Summertime. Don't forget that it's summertime. But the water... in a very cheesy segue over to what this is about. This video is about how much water you need and why it's so important and is important. Why is it important? Well, I think mainly because our entire chemistry depends on our ability to process and use the water that we have available. Once we understand the importance of what water does for us, not only for exercise. I mean, exercise, if you're going to lose excessive fluids, you also need to replace those waters post-exercise and pre-exercise to a certain extent. But the effect of not doing that can actually have a really big detrimental effect on how your body recovers. And as we've discussed in previous videos, recovery is so important. Being prepared for how you are going to exert your body, knowing exactly what it is you're prepared to do to get the results that you want, also means you have to take into consideration your hydration alongside your nutrition, okay? So basically, we really need to focus on why it's important and how you can keep on top of it, because there's a few small things you can do every day for the rest of your life, however long that is. You might not understand that this one small thing, above and beyond everything, changes how your entire chemistry and how your body works. So what we're going to do is really focus on looking at the importance of hydration. Are you intrigued? I am. I know I am. One of the things I do all the time with my clients, I go on and on and on about it. Sometimes they come back, like just now, New Year, and they'll say, well, you know, I didn't do much exercise over the New Year. But that's fine, you know. But I always ask them, did you drink lots? Hopefully less fluid in the form of alcohol, but more in the form of good stuff like water, for example. Not so much juices. We don't want high sugar in whatever we're drinking, but also now they've come to understand it's more about fluids. You do get a choice as to what fluids you want to put into your body. And of course, they range from very different types of fluids that you can put into your body. Some are more beneficial, some are, you know, more pleasing than others, like soft drinks. People really enjoy the high sugar content or the sugar substitutes that they use in order to make those drinks more attractive as a means of hydration. Without that hydration, in one form or another, the body begins to perish. And not in a small way. It starts to shut down, and the body will just send the fluids that is available once it becomes too dehydrated to the parts that need it most of all. So these are fundamentally going to be our organs, the brain, the heart, the liver, all the organs that perform the functions of the body, which we discussed before, which is the systems of the body: reproductive system, cardiovascular system, immune system. They're called collectively your body clock. And when they're all lining up, it means there's some symbiosis, some harmony between them. One of the ways that you can make sure that that works before you even hit the gym is knowing that you've taken adequate care and duty to think about what the basic requirements are for that to serve you. And that's the key to what hydration does. Throughout the day, we all talk about how much water we need. Some people will or won't get it, but we talk about how much is necessary. And the way the dice have fallen at the moment, we can see it's maybe about 2.5 liters minimum. Now, okay, some of that might come from your food. When people talk about, yeah, I get some hydration from my food. If you're eating Maccas, there's only a limited amount of fluid in that food that can be actually derived to use within the body. But if you're eating salads and soups, okay, fair enough. There's going to be higher nutritional and hydrational content in those foods, which will serve as some of the fluids that your body needs. So if you're eating fresh salads and you've got a lot of things that you can eat which are water-based, then of course those things count as part of your hydration throughout the day. So cucumbers, fruits, vegetables all have waters, providing you chew them as well, and you make sure that you have adequate digestion of those foods. Then you may be able to reduce down your level of water. But the key here is knowing that if this is the ballpark figure, and it might not apply to everybody, what is or are the benefits of actually sticking to the designated quota that most people will agree that we have to take each day. Okay, fair enough. So what are the benefits of 2.5 liters of water a day, and how should I be introducing that? Well, considering the body is almost consistently, the largest organ in the body is the skin, is almost consistently sweating on one level or another. In order to maintain your body temperature, you're always expending that amount of water. So how can we tell what level of hydration my body is at? Well, the key here is to make sure, again, like we thought about with your food, is that you make sure that you're on top of it periodically, that you don't leave it too long, that your lips are dry, and ironically mine are. So a lot of yakety yak like this will fundamentally dehydrate you. So if you're an office worker, for example, and you're working and talking all day in presentations and meetings, you're going to need a lot more hydration because you're expelling moisture on your breath, and your body has no other choice. So you're losing it through sweat, you're losing it through bodily function, you're losing it through movement, and through what's happening through your breathing, which fundamentally, when you're in a frozen environment, a cold environment, you can see the particles of water on your breath. You know, that's the white that comes out. Anyway, so basically you're expending water all the time. So if you're not constantly bringing that water back into the body, something has to give. And usually it starts by draining off the periphery of the body, the parts that can do with less. So fundamentally, that's the muscles. So there's less moisture running through to the muscle. It's being allocated primarily to what's happening to your heart, your liver, your kidneys, all those things that demand more water, and especially the brain. So if you're not taking care to sustain that level and to keep it up above a certain point, the cumulative effect of that is that it really shows some wear and tear. So some tread, for example, on how elastic your skin might be. If you've taken or gone to lengths to think about what your water cycle is, which is the cumulative effect. So it's 2.5 liters of water a day times 365 days a year. There's a number there which I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you fall short of that, it means that your water cycle has a deficit. Therefore, it would represent on a logical and relative basis that something somewhere had to compensate for that loss of water. If, however, you've been on top of it and you've taken, do you like how my voice went up then? If you've taken precautions to make sure that you're adequately hydrated by keeping a water bottle with you at all times, you can prevent the onset of dehydration before it starts. Now, if you lick your lips and you can feel they're kind of dry and bumpy, well, again, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit dehydrated myself. It means that you've already started to shut down. Your body's already gone into this pattern of allocating water to other places. Whereas if you're taking sips of water throughout the day, it gives the body a chance to allow that water to actually seep through to all the places that need it. Once the vital areas have been satisfied and they're saturated fundamentally, then it starts to work out towards the skin, which is the last one, which keeps it nice and moisturized. There is no real need for expensive moisturizers above and beyond what you're hydrating yourself with. So when you leave the house, one of the few things you need to be taking with you whenever you go out, especially when it's a hot day: keys, mobile phone, water bottle. I add in sunglasses or maybe a banana, and that's it. You've got to take those things with you. And obviously if you're dressed, it helps. Otherwise it can cause other problems. But what we're looking at here is how much water we're going to drink. This is a 700 milliliter bottle that I carry with me. I don't use the plastic ones because the BPA-free ones, even now, they're saying there's still some concern with how that leaches back into the water. So I use an aluminium one. Okay, so there might be issues with that. I do have a glass bottle, which I use. I find that to be the most clean tasting water. Once it's been sitting in there for a couple of hours or so, it doesn't taste like plastic or metal. So the glass bottle is always the best. And fundamentally, just keeping that with you, making sure that you're on top of it. And by the end of the day, keeping a little mental check on how many you've had, you're able then to offset, let's say, the amount of water that you're supposed to be getting each day. And this is fundamentally something that won't change. If you want to keep your youthful, young demeanor, then drink water. If you're not worried about being like Frankenstein and being all dried out like a prune, don't worry about it. Go out in the sun and don't drink enough water, and your body will just shut certain parts of chemical processes down to serve only the vital part, without being able to spare enough water to saturate the system to give you the benefits of the elasticity, the electricity in the body and the systems of the body, the robustness to be able to cope under all different types of circumstances. The two questions that pretty much should be asked by the doctor when people go for coughs and colds and stuff like that, which sometimes are unavoidable, you know, they're contagious, so you can't avoid it. But two questions for people who become chronically ill should well be, how much water are you drinking each day? If you don't know that, that's really of concern to me. And how much protein a day are you getting? These two questions in themselves, when you've not got enough of either of those, and in combination, if you're not getting enough, basically they can have really big detrimental effects on your ongoing health. So before you even get into doing workouts and giving yourself enough protein to build muscle or to change the body shape, or hydration to be able to give you the longevity and the ability to keep the body in a way that gives the chemical process which allows all the body to do these little processes at the back, on the back burner, and give you the health and well-being that you need. Obviously, then there's a broader picture for what your sustained longevity is derived through nutrition. But fundamentally, one of the things that you have to do to avoid something called chronic dehydration is to be on top of it. Now, some people can go months and months and months, and they've only had a glass of water a day. Well, of course, relativity would suggest that something has to give at that stage, and the body will be running, the blood is not getting flushed through the kidneys, and the muscles aren't receiving their fair share of the blood. So basically what happens is they're not able to flush out all the toxins in the body, which accumulates, which causes some kind of blockages, which makes it harder for the body to give you what you need to survive on a much healthier level. Now, I really haven't read much information about where water isn't necessary. We don't want to overhydrate the body, and it doesn't have to be something of pedantry, but I know I've got to have 5 of these little buggers a day. If I don't, I start to feel the effect on that, and especially if I've had a hard workout and I've sweated out a litre or so of water, well, that has to come back into the body. And if I'm not doing that, if I've not got some mental tally or register in there as to how much I need, then that's going to make that a lot harder. So fundamentally, if you're feeling a little bit sick, or you notice that your energy levels are low, the salts in your system might be also low, because if you've neglected something as fundamental as water, this is a really important point. You could be neglecting many other important aspects of your overall well-being in the long run. So what we want to try and achieve there is the equilibrium of understanding that as soon as I have the discipline or have the procedures in place, I should be able to sustain this for the rest of my life. It's not like I did it on Tuesday and now I can forget about it until Thursday. Every day I need to top up these levels to prevent the dehydration from beginning, because once it's taking away from my salivation, I'm unable to process the food that I'm eating properly. I'm unable to break down in my stomach because the digestive juices aren't there, and everything has like a domino effect inside. And some of the things, the simple practices that we can do, the body's best medicine is being proactive in understanding we are water-based creatures. I think it's 65, 67, something 70% that we are water. It varies on which studies you read, but at the end of the day, the central message is this: hydrate yourself, and especially if you're going to exercise. Uncle Pat's told you now, so if you don't do it, well, you're missing out, because you will not be able to achieve sustained results without a sustained plan. Everything has to match up. Good hydration, good nutrition, and a balanced and level exercise program with good emotional health and good lifestyle choices that allow you to enjoy what it is you're doing. So once everything's in balance, we start to be able to put it together and give you something that you can be proud of. And this is simple. It's not hard. I mean, to begin with, most people struggle a little bit. I know I do. And I know a lot of older clients with prostate problems, they struggle somewhat with drinking more water, and they say, I'm always peeing. Yeah, well, look, you know, unfortunately, it might be harder for you, but the need to hydrate yourself is still very important. The prostate issue is something you're going to have to deal with on a separate level, but the hydration levels still remain as demanding as they were when your prostate was good. And your body might not be as efficient in processing those things now, but at the same time, it still has a need to be hydrated first and foremost on an unremitting, unrelenting basis. that will never change as long as you want to live a long and happy life. So here we go, big tip. Keep your fancy face creams. Make sure you keep hydrated. Make sure you keep on top of that. And when you feel a little bit lethargic, when you feel constipated, for example, most people, constipation is due to a lack of fluids in the system that just can't make it through the intense journey it has to go through your intestines. It starts to dry out as the body is siphoning off as much of the hydration due to a lack of hydration from every part of your body to use it in a functional way to serve the deficit that you've built up. You also have something called a hydration deficit. So if I know that I haven't met those 2.5 liters a day times 365 days a year, I know that that will be something that I have a deficit for. My body will be optimally, on a linear basis, better if I try and drink that little bit more to make up for a period where I didn't hydrate myself sufficiently. And once you've got that, then your body starts to feel better and it starts to open up and it starts to reciprocate because everything it needs on a chemistry basis is available and inside, So that means that you're able then to achieve your fitness goals sooner, whatever they are. More flexibility is derived from being able to have more length in the muscle, which if there's no water in the muscle because it's been siphoned off for the organs, then that would make a lot of sense as well. And if your skin is all dry and very tight, but there's also an element of truth in how that affects your well-being as well. Your energy levels fall down, your chemistry is wrong because your nutrition's wrong and you're not getting that chemical balance in there. Part of the solution is always to come back to these bases. The first one is water. The second one is, well, breathing, I guess could be arguably the first. And then the third one is your nutrition. From there, those three things, learning how to breathe properly, learning how to drink enough water, learning how to feed yourself based on a components and metabolism-based structure rather than a meals-based structure. Think not so much in meals, think more about what components of food am I missing. And once you fill those gaps with science fact, it's easier then to make sure you have a better understanding of how your body works. Exercise is one thing. That is just improvement. If you can't do pull-ups, then it's just practice. That comes in time. But if in parallel to that, you're working on your hydration, everything comes around together because you've actually put the emphasis on making sure that you haven't neglected one particular area of nutrition or hydration or physical movement or addressing an imbalance in your muscles or a postural deficiency. It all comes together, and there's no better way to start than once you start with this brand new regime is to think about everything. So you need to sit down with a professional like me and find out how you can do these things. And this is the biggest thing. There's no secret in how this works. There's no like mystery behind it that if you take these tablets or do something crazy that makes it doesn't add up, A plus B equals C, you know, that's all it has to be. So fundamentally what we need to do is get you in for a session or to come online with me here and to address these issues with you. We can go through every last part of what it is you're doing in your life and say, okay, how about we change this? How about we do that? Make things different and work together to find a solution that fits your lifestyle. That we can make sure that the small changes that we make, emotional changes, physical changes, lifestyle choices that you might have, we can do all of that because I'm bloody marvelous. And you knew this. I'm not being big-headed, but you know, look, hey, I'm here in a room talking to a camera, so I have to say something. But give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. Now, viewers, as usual, none. Never mind. I'm all right. I'm still going to carry on. Going to persevere, going to build these volumes up so you get a better understanding of what it is we're trying to achieve. And sooner or later, I'll have a solid one viewer consistently. And that could be you if you're watching. But if you do have any questions, just write them in the box down below on YouTube. If you're watching through Google Hangouts, you can do the same thing. Just be part of the event. I think through YouTube, you can actually be part of the audience on the event site. So it's a slightly different setup. So if you want to have a look at that, please do. I will be back in a moment or two with our next video, just trying to get ahead of some of these because I had a little bit of a setback and now I'm back on top of it. I'm sorry you couldn't join me live and I hope you will do very soon. But thank you for listening. And remember, keep drinking your water. Be kind to yourself. Simple, isn't it? You don't have to be crazy and do all these outlandish things. Join a fantastic gym. buy from food preparation companies. You don't have to do that. You just have to think, stop and think, what is it I'm doing wrong? And what is it I'm doing right? And then adjust everything day by day. Small victory, small victory, small victory. Okay, body. See you soon. Bye-bye.